Come on. That's one. Bingo.
There we go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. And thank you, Lord, that I'm actually back in the basement. I've been on tour for 30 days. We've been everywhere, from Florida to Nashville. That's right, they love us Italians in Nashville. They're never going to say howdy is doing again the right way, because I corrected them. And from there, Florida, California, you name it, now I'm in the basement. I'm so happy to be home. And I'm happy to present to you another fantastic guest, everybody. I know you're out there yelling and screaming and cheering. We can't hear you because we're in the basement. Show some love for Trisha Volpe, who came down to the basement from Pennsylvania.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Wait till you guys hear the way she speaks Italian. Not like us Jersey assholes. She speaks Italian the right way because she learned Italian in the right spot. It's called Rome. Not Rome, New York, because there's a Rome, New York.
There is.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how they talk in Rome, New York? Like they're from Chicago or upstate New York. This is true.
Really?
In Rome, New York, they sound like tall, ha, like there's something stuck in their throat. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. I'm not making fun of the people from Rome, New York. I'm just saying I don't like your accent, so I guess I am making fun of them.
There you go.
All right, let's start how we met. We met because, tell everybody.
Well, I went to the show in New Hope because I live in Bucks County at the moment. So I went to see the show, and actually a really good family friend was there and introduced us, and the rest is history.
Yes, it's going to be great history too, because I learned a lot about my culture and my history from Trisha that night and the next day when I got reprimanded. So we're going to find out why we're not supposed to say gravy. We're going to. I'm still going to. I'm not going to stop. But we're going to get a lot of that stuff corrected on tonight's show. Now, you went there because of your friend that you were just mentioning. We could say her name.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeannie Gramaglia. Ciao, Jeannie. You're here. But yeah, with
Wait a
Brittany-
minute, you got to back up because she just made her name sound so beautiful.
Oh.
I would say Jeannie, but
Jeannie
the way you said it,
Gramaglia.
I can't even say her last name correctly.
Right.
Gramaglia?
Gramaglia.
Grama-
Gramaglia.
But there's a G in there.
There is a G. So the G is actually, a lot of people say that the G is either silent if you think of the word lasagna, right? You think it's actually silent, but it's not because it makes that ñ sound. So lasagna or gramaglia, when it's with a G and an L, it's a y sound. So G makes a difference.
See, I told you. I didn't even get 2 minutes into the show. I'm already being reprimanded. Jeannie Gramaglia. I always said G. Gramaglia.
Yep.
I guess you don't say the G, huh?
In Italian, no.
No. Gramalia?
Gramaglia.
You really roll your R's, too. I always thought that was Spanish or Puerto Rican. Brr. Like the Sharks and the Jets. I don't know, that might be before your time, but that was a movie called West Side Story. Okay.
No, actually,
Nobody really...
I know it.
Look at people already. I'm looking forward to this shit. Shut up. Jeannie's a friend of mine, and she came to a show that I was doing at the... what the hell was that place called?
I don't even know. It was in the middle of nowhere.
It was in the middle of nowhere.
Couldn't find it.
Something Bridge, Center Bridge, which I spent 20 minutes making fun of because it's not in the center of the bridge. It's on the edge, and one more step after the bridge, and you die because you go in the water. And there was no lights, and
No
it's some
railing.
kind of a bed and breakfast inn from the 1700s, and they're remodeling it, and it still looks like The Shining.
It does.
So it was petrifying. However, the showroom was all red carpet and drapes and chandeliers. So it was actually beautiful.
That's nice.
And I want to go back there and film a special because the way this place looked was fantastic. And the people were very happy-go-lucky, joyful people, probably a lot of Italians, which is cool. So her friend, my friend, Jeannie, came. Why don't you tell everybody who Jeannie's married to?
She's married to the famous Philadelphia hockey player, Bernie Parent.
Oh, that's how you say his last name? I kept calling him Parent.
I don't
Man,
know.
I'm a real fuck up.
I don't know French.
Bernie Parent. So I guess it's French because he is from Canada.
See, I only speak Italian, not French. So
All right, so then it's Parent.
There you go.
Bernie
See?
Parent.
You can correct me now.
If we were to make Bernie Italian, what would parent be? Parenti?
Parente. Yeah.
See how nice she just made it? Parenti. We'd have to call him.
Parente.
He's a famous goalie who was on the Philadelphia Flyers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to reach out to him and her and see if we can't get them to come down to the basement. That would be really cool.
That'd be awesome.
He also supposedly, I didn't do all my research, but of course won the Stanley Cup, and he played with another Italian hockey player that we all should know. You know?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't follow hockey.
Phil Esposito.
Oh, okay.
Or, correctly, how would you say Esposito?
Esposito.
Esposito. See, I knew that.
Napoletano.
Oh, that I didn't know. Oh, man, I am so lost. Is it really Napolitano?
Yeah, it's a Naples surname. So
Is
it's
it?
from Naples, yep. Mm-hmm.
Surname
Esposito,
meaning?
like last name.
A last name?
Yep.
All right. See, I
Exactly.
didn't even know that either. We don't call it surname here.
No,
we
we
call it
don't.
your last name. Some people call it the maiden name. Some people call it the divorce name. I don't ever want to mention again.
Right.
That was hilarious. If this place was packed, that would have killed. All right, so
Okay.
we had a fun night and we got to meet. And when we were talking, she was telling me about her education in the Italian language. So I went to her Instagram. Everybody go to the Instagram right now. Tell everybody.
At Trisha's Italy. That's it.
At Trisha's Italy. It's hers. It's her Italy. So I go on Trisha's Italy and I started to learn about my own culture more than I already know from my mom. Because in the Italian culture, there's so many dialects, there's so many different regions. It can really become confusing, especially to the people who live in the United States, who have family that I would say has moved on to the other planet, and they're not around to teach us anymore. And we're at the age where we're not going back to school.
No.
So what do? We go on Instagram, and we find Trisha's Italy, and we feel like dumbasses because she says things like gramaglia, whereas I say gramaglia.
I just try to teach you.
Oh, we're going to learn a lot because there's a lot of food on the table tonight.
Yeah, there is.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who, whether you're Italian or not, mispronounce what's on the table. And Trisha's going to show us how to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what made you get into this anyway? I mean, let's go all the way back. You born in Philadelphia?
Mm-hmm. I was born in Philadelphia, northeast Philly, and my father came over actually for the first time in 1972. He came over on the boat. If you guys are familiar with the SS Michelangelo.
And then you got to back up. See, who ever heard of the SS Michelangelo? And if it's in the 70s, that's not really that long ago.
No.
Most our parents and grandparents came over, I don't know, maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, when the boat was called Titanic. One of them didn't make it. I forgot which one. I think it was the Santa Clara and the Maria. They were sisters. It's okay to laugh, folks. And if you need more wine, it's right here on the bar. I'm not familiar with the Michelangelo, but that sounds like a wonderful Italian ship
It
coming in
was.
and out of Italy.
Yep, exactly. That's where it came from. So it actually just did trips back and forth from Naples to New York. So.
And that was primarily to transport people who wanted to live in America, or was it a fun boat?
It was a fun boat. I mean, it was like a fun boat. It was for people on vacation or people who also wanted to just move over to the United States. So, and if you didn't want to take the plane in the 70s, you could take the boat over, and it took about, I think it was a week that it lasted.
Is that right?
Yep.
No, I think it's funny because I'm actually going on a ship this coming Sunday.
Are you?
And it's a fun boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to party.
A fun boat.
No one's going to the Bahamas and saying, I'm getting off.
You're right.
This is the promised land. I'm going to live here now. I got my papers. Now the papers you have to have are COVID papers that prove that you don't have it. So it's a boat that basically was saying, okay, get off. We'll go get your parents. We'll be back in a week.
Exactly.
The SS Michelangelo. Google that, everybody. It must be a really great historical read.
Its last voyage to America from Italy was in 1975.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, it's not around anymore.
So everybody started flying, I guess.
Exactly. So my dad moved over to Philly, and then he went back to Italy for a little bit, actually. He was like, no, America's not for me, I'm going to Italy. And he went to high school and everything. And then he came back because his whole family was here, his parents, his grandmother. And so when I was born, my grandparents actually lived across the street from us. So I grew up with Italian culture. My mom was American, but my dad was full on, obviously, Italian. So we spoke English and a little bit of Italian at home because of my grandparents who didn't speak English. So I just grew up with both cultures. And I remember the first time I went to Italy was when I was 8 years old. And I fell in love. I could tell you every single detail about Italy when I was 8 years old.
Well, we have an hour. Wait a minute. So your mom is from America?
Yeah, she's actually...
But is she of Italian descent?
Nope, actually Irish and Scottish and Native American. So I'm a little bit of a mix on that side.
Well, wait a minute now. So now we're really going to get confused.
Yeah, right.
Your mom is an American,
Yep.
which your father probably said to your parents, I'm going to marry a minigan.
Mm-hmm. Is that
Which
right?
I always thought was a dirty word. When I
Right.
was a kid growing up, my mother said, hey, what are we, minigans?
Minigan,
And I thought that
right.
meant we're nasty, dirty people.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was saying, what are we, American?
American.
And then when you think about it, it was kind of like, well, yeah, I am. I was born here. I am American.
Mm-hmm.
Why you think you don't speak Italian to us?
Right.
My mother would never let me and my two brothers speak Italian because she said it was the enemy's language and we're going to grow up American and that's all we're ever going to be.
Exactly.
And that me and my two brothers were very, very lucky because we had blonde hair and blue eyes where everybody else who was Italian from Italy supposedly had dark hair and dark eyes, which is true in a way because my closest relatives from Italy live in Canada. They had a parent who didn't make it to America, and for some reason or other, my grandfather couldn't get them to come, so they made their lives in Toronto,
Nice, yeah.
which
that's a
they
huge
say
Italian
Toronto,
family.
and they speak Italian first language. Second language was French, and then third language was English.
Right.
So they're
It's
all messed up.
interesting how that is, though, because in Canada they do. I feel like a more Italian, second generation, they actually speak Italian because their family brought them up speaking Italian. Here in America, it's a different story.
And I wonder
Yes.
exactly why. Maybe you know, maybe somebody out there is going to Google. I just remember my family would go like this. Don't speak Italian. And she wouldn't teach us.
Esatto.
There was also times where she'd speak Italian to my dad or any other of the older family members or someone on the phone
Right.
and then turn to us and say, because I don't want you to know what we're saying.
Exactly.
And hid it
Their
from
little
us.
secret, yeah.
And then I remember there was a time where my younger brother was studying Italian in school, and he'd come home and speak Italian to my mother, and she'd look at him and say, what the hell did you say? So we're going to get into that.
That's great.
So your father's right off the boat, which
Right
is
off
the
the boat.
Michelangelo. You didn't know if he went through Ellis Island?
I don't think he did at that time. I don't think it was still like a thing. Like
Right.
they just went through regular immigration.
That's so Americanized. I didn't think it was still a thing.
Something.
We could Google that now. Imagine going through Ellis Island back in the day, and we had Snapchat and TikTok,
Yeah,
and he's
right.
just like, hey, look, I'm coming through. Anthony, you gotta come. This is great.
That's wonderful.
So your father from Italy gets off the boat, meets your mom, has to go home and explain to his parents somehow that he's going to marry someone who's Irish.
Yeah, yeah. It was
That
a
had to
big
been a
thing.
fight
It was
right
a big
there.
thing. Exactly. Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, you came home with a girl, and then she left after you introduced her to the parents. Your parents would flat out say, is she Italian? Always. Is she Italian?
Exactly.
Did you meet an Italian
That's
girl?
how my dad is. Yeah, still to this day.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you
Is
go
he
to meet a
Italian?
guy.
Yeah.
Is he Italian? Where's he from?
Right.
Who's his parents? Where's his parents from? I remember when we were younger, my mother and father would always say, you're going to meet yourself a nice Italian girl with parents from Italy, then you're going to be perfect. And then you got a little older. They didn't say the family had to be from Italy. They just had to have some kind of Italian roots.
Right.
Nowadays, my parents just say, look, just go out with anybody. It don't matter. What the hell is your
What are you
problem?
doing?
This is ridiculous.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I'll start dating a guy. Now, hold it, hold it,
Yeah,
hold
wait
it.
a minute. That's funny.
So your mom has a completely different heritage.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And there's Indian in there?
Native American, yeah.
Native American. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting mix. But I identify more with my Italian side because my grandparents on my mom's side, they passed before I was even born. So I basically grew up in the Italian household. So.
Well, even if your mom's side was alive, your father's side, being Italian, they're going to be the stronghold, and they're going to say, "No, you're going to grow up our
and
way."
You can see it, I think, from my features too.
Yes. Well, yeah, you definitely
that.
look Italian. You look more Italian than I ever did.
It's funny, you know, in Sicily there is a gene that has red hair. So a lot of people think, you know, Italians can't be blonde hair, blue eyes. They can't have red hair. You know, it doesn't exist. It's actually false because in Sicily, for example, my boyfriend is from Sicily and he has blonde hair and blue eyes, and you would never
Sal.
say it. Sal, exactly.
Sal from Sicily. And you guys out there watching this show, she's taken, you understand? And now she has an uncle. His name is Uncle Michael. There's a bat in every corner of this house. Don't make me come to your house. This is why I was never a parent. I'd kill kids if they came over. Mr. Marino, can I take your daughter out? I'm like, I don't know. Can you swallow this fist?
Right.
So she's here with Sal, and Sal is from Sicily. You know what that means. Hold on a minute. Sal's got blonde hair.
He does.
He's blonde. Is it natural blonde? It's natural blonde. Because the kids these days, they dye their hair bleach blonde.
They do, right?
I did too. Look what happened. See, it falls right out of you. Shut up. All right. I love this. So now, are your parents alive?
My dad is, yep.
Your dad is alive. All right. Does he like Sal?
He does.
He
likes
does
Sal,
like
yeah.
Sal.
He's a
Do they
nice
speak
Sicilian
Italian
guy.
to each other?
They do, yep. Sal speaks Sicilian dialect, so my dad's learning a little Sicilian too. Because my dad's from Avellino, so a little bit near Naples.
Avellino.
That's
Yeah,
where my-
everybody watching right now knew that Avellino is near Naples. I knew right away. My parents are from a small town in Italy called Jersey City.
There you go.
It's got a
Very
lot of
famous.
Italians. Well, it used to have a lot of Italians. They got kicked out.
They got kicked out.
They kicked out.
Your family's from Calabria, though, right? Is that where you?
No, my mother always explained this to us because her brothers and sisters, and all of them, there's 6 of them, came from a little town called Dronia, which is in Campobasso. So if I said to my mother, "Mom, tell everybody where you're from," she would go, "Dronia, Campobasso." She would never say the whole word.
Right.
So then we looked up on the internet. Now the house is still there, and then of course it got sold. But I've never been there. We saw a lot of pictures of it. My aunts and uncles and cousins, of course, have always gone there to visit when they all finally came over. Their history is just really unbelievable because when they tell you the way they lived, who didn't go to school, who died in their 20s, who died in their 30s, who died in their 40s of things that could have been cured like that nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
My oldest uncle I never met, his name was Frank. He never came to the United States. He died at 23.
Oh, wow.
And he had 2 kids, and his wife's name was Virgilia. Tia Virgilia. And she never remarried, and I believe she was 19.
Oh, wow.
So those 2 kids went to Canada, had kids who were my age or who are my age.
Right.
And since I was lucky enough to travel so much, I knew more about my family than anybody because I always got to see them.
Nice.
And the last time I was in Montreal, well, one time I was performing in Montreal, a woman came up to me and she said, "Is your grandmother's name Giovannina?" And I said, "Yes," on my mother's side. "Last name Berardo?" And I said, "Yes, her last name is Berardo." And she said, "Did you have an uncle named Frank?" And this and that.
No
And I
way.
said, "Yes, yes, yes." And she said, "Hello, I'm your cousin."
Oh, that's great.
I'm like, man, that is unbelievable. Like,
That's
how did you
yeah.
figure that out?
Right, exactly.
And she said, because we celebrate in Canada Duronia Campobasso Day
Ah,
every year.
there you go.
And we celebrate famous people who came from there. And there was a tenor, opera, and a couple other people. And then all of a sudden, Mike Marino.
There you go.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding. I don't know how they put that together, but they did.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
great.
that's how I found out a lot of this stuff. And then, of course,
Yeah.
asking my aunts and uncle. But maybe this is true in your family too. If I ask my family a question about my family, they yell so loud with the answer, I can only take 20 minutes. And then I stop.
Right. They just like go off.
It's too
like-
loud. It's too loud. It's not even a joke because I want to know.
Right.
But even the other day, I called my cousin Francis, and I said, "Francis, tell me about why I and my brothers always thought My great aunt's name was Zigadarin, not Zia
Zia Katarina.
Catherine.
Right, okay.
I thought her name was
Zigadarin.
Zigadarin because that's the way they said it. We're going over Zigadarin. And I was like, oh, okay. And she scared the shit out of you because she had a beard and a mustache. This lady was 100 years old. We had a great-grandmother. Her name was Mamouche. I don't even know where they get that name from. And then her sister's name was Zanjalel. So I said, what is Zanjalal's name? And she goes, you're saying Zia Angelina.
Ecco, capito.
But why were we talking like that?
So it's really the dialect, right? Because a lot of the like southern Italian dialects have what they do is they cut off the vowels at the end of the words. So instead of saying the whole word like Zia Caterina, right? You'll just say Zi Caterin, così. Just
Yes.
cut them off. Cut off the vowels at the end of the words. So, yeah. And that's actually how a lot of the Italian American dialect came to be, if you think about it. Because we cut off the ends of the words to from the dialect. Like capocollo is gabagool, whatever it is.
Is that how that happened?
Yeah.
All right, listen, we're going to have to get
have
into
to
it.
get
I knew
into
we
that.
were going to go down this street. But I always wondered why we said it. I called my cousin Frances to ask her.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, because your mother and your father and the
She
way
just
we
yelled.
talk. And I'm like, listen, I'll call you tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow. I can't handle it. They really get that loud. I'm like,
they
why are
just
you
get
yelling?
passionate
I'm
about
not
it. That's
yelling. I'm
all it is.
trying to let you know, stupid. I'm like, I'm in my 50s now. You can't call me stupid.
Right. Esattamente.
I remember I did go to Rome once. I was
Did you?
working on a TV commercial. It was Join the Navy, See the World. They took
Nice.
6 21-year-old kids from New York and they sent us to Rome to shoot these commercials.
Beautiful.
And I remember I practiced so much Italian with my mother, as much as I could.
Yeah.
And I was walking around in Italy, at Rome, and I remember going into this restaurant and I said something, and the guy said, "You're better off speaking English."
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, oh man, I feel like an asshole.
Yeah, right. That reminds me of my brother because one time we were in Montella, which is my dad's hometown, and we go to this restaurant, and my brother first of all orders carbonara, which you don't order carbonara if you're not in Rome. Punto e basta. Pero, okay. So we get there, and he orders the carbonara, and that's how he pronounces it, right? So he's like, oh, I'll have the carbonara, whatever he said. And the waiter just looks at him like, cosa? ¿Qué estás diciendo? Like that. He's like, what are you saying? My brother's like, okay, carbonara. And he's like, okay, now I understand what you're saying. It's like,
Doesn't
have
that make you
separate-
want to speak Italian?
You're right.
I want to speak Italian right now so badly. You know what's really funny? If I was to say what she just said in my mother's language, I wouldn't even know what I said.
Right.
When we were out there, we were doing these TV commercials in an area where they housed the American naval ships. It was called Gaeta
Yeah.
and Sperlonga.
Bellissimo.
What is it?
Bellissimo. It's really nice. Really
Oh,
nice
yes, it was
places.
bellissimo.
Bellissimo.
Yeah, I know that word.
Bravo.
It was a bellissimo. Nothing like being 21, flown first class to do whatever the hell you want to make a TV commercial for the Navy. What a life.
I can imagine.
And we went to this church that was inside a cliff. It was built inside the cliff. And we swam to church in water that was crystal clear. Right by where they kept the Navy ships. But I remember nobody in this area spoke English.
Yeah. Well,
Except
they're
our
little
tour guides.
Small towns, yeah.
Small town. It was like going to the Jersey Shore, only really, really clean. Well, no, it wasn't like going to the Jersey Shore. No, it was a beautiful place. But I do remember people would say hello to us like this.
Really?
Is that it?
I don't know. I know they say bye like this. Like in Italy, we go ciao.
The reverse?
Yeah.
This is goodbye?
Ciao.
Oh, we got to do that from now on. From now on, this is what we do. When I see somebody, I'm like, hey, goodbye, goodbye.
Exactly. Goodbye.
And they'll come near me.
Exactly.
No, supposedly this meant come over.
Oh, così, sì. Vieni
Yeah.
qua, vieni qua. Sì, esatto.
Come on over, come on over.
Sì, esatto.
And no one spoke English, so we did everything we possibly could to communicate and talk. Hello, how are you?
Exactly. Ciao, come stai?
I miss
Okay.
that so much.
No, and you know what? Italy has the most amazing beaches too. And I've been to Sardinia once, and I think that Sardinia has the best beaches because if you go and you're, I don't even know, like a mile out, the water is still so clear. You can see everything. We went swimming with, there were fish and the coral and everything. It's beautiful. I definitely recommend Sardinia.
Sardinia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're growing up in Philly.
Yeah.
When was it that you decided that you wanted to be, like, what do you do? What is your job?
So I am currently, I teach Italian, and I like to plan travel in Italy. So when I was living in Italy, I actually worked for a tour company, Great Italy Tour, which is a great company, and they actually have, they work hand in hand with, drivers and everything all throughout Italy. And so I was doing that. So I got to travel all around Italy, which made me fall in love even more with it. And then I was teaching Italian when I got back to the States to elementary school students, which I loved because just seeing like 5-year-old kids were learning Italian and the way that their brains work. They're like sponges, so they just pick up everything.
See, ladies and gentlemen, teach your kids another language when they're only 5.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they grow up and speak Italian like a guy like me from Jersey who says, "Hey, how you doing?" thinking that's Italian. It's not. It's Jersey.
And it's funny because, like you said, you didn't grow up speaking Italian. Like, your parents didn't want you to speak Italian. Like, it was just not a thing in the household. I was the same exact way because when Italian immigrants came over to the U.S., they wanted to assimilate completely into the culture. They didn't want people to know that you're Italian, right? Because Italians, there was some discrimination, because you're from a different country. And so they wanted to, just have their kids speak English, and, it just wasn't a thing that they would, teach them Italian. So that's also how the Italian American dialect came to be, because it's from the generations of, their parents and their grandparents speaking the dialect, and the words were just kind of passed down through the generations with the English all kind of mixed together, which is how we got to where we are today.
How did this dialect thing actually happen? Because, and if you can, maybe share with us the way it happened or the way it is through the eyes of people who live in the United States. So the difference between, let's say, the way I speak and someone in Kansas would be because in New Jersey and in New York, we close our mouths. I had speech therapy when I was 18. We close our mouths, technically because it's cold. I don't. Right? And then you go to the South, and they drop their jaw, which makes them get that Southern thing. Howdy! God dang it. Man, you looking good today. They're like that type of a thing.
Good, yeah.
But that's the only reason why we sound different. The language is not different.
No.
Although maybe there are certain areas where there are some kids and you don't know what the hell they're talking about because they're talking, I don't know,
different language.
Whatever it is, street talk.
Yeah.
So how did that happen in Italy? Or why are the regions like that?
Well, in Italy, Italy wasn't a country until 1861. So all the different dialects were actually just languages from different parts of what Italy is today, the country. So there are 20 different regions in Italy today, and each region has a different dialect, which was a different language before Italy was a country. But not only that, there are different dialects within each region. So not only are there only 20 dialects, but there's like thousands of dialects throughout the entire whole of the country of Italy. So, for example, in my dad's hometown of Montella, we have a completely different dialect from the town that's about a mile away in Cassano. Completely different. It's
so that they understand each other?
No. If they speak dialect, there's like, for example, if you're from, I don't know, somewhere in the north, like Venice, and you speak your dialect, people in Sicily have no idea what you're saying and vice versa. No idea. You have to speak standard Italian. So that's when actually standard Italian was introduced in 1861. They decided that the standard Italian was going to be based off of the Tuscan dialect in Tuscany, which is a really interesting dialect, actually. The way that they speak it today, they actually don't pronounce the C's. They actually say, for example, if I'm going to say Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola, they say ho-ha-hola. They pronounce their C's like H's, which is crazy.
Yeah, ho-ha-ho here in New Jersey, not going to be a good thing. No. Ho-ho-ho, cola. Ho-cola. See, this is what happened in the United States. There was this guy named Santa Claus. He originally was Italian. He used to say Coca-Cola. Now he just says ho, ho, ho.
Exactly.
That's not funny, right? Is that right? I thought Rome
No.
was the capital that said, okay, we'll all speak Roman.
No, actually, I wish. Roman dialect is my favorite. I lived in Rome for about 10 years, so I love the Roman dialect.
So that's
but
where you learned to speak Italian?
that's
Or from your
pretty
dad?
much. No, I actually learned how to speak Italian at university. I knew a little bit of Italian growing up because of my grandparents, but to actually speak it and to write it fluently, I learned it at school. And then I moved to Italy, and I lived there for 10 years, and that's how I just completely immersed myself into the language. I was like, I'm gonna be fluent. I'm gonna learn this. This is what I want to do. So.
So now you are teaching
Yes.
Italian.
Yep.
And what the dialect is Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Is that actually the word for it? Roman dialect?
Yeah, Roman dialect.
Roman, Tuscany dialect.
Tuscan dialect. Yep, exactly. And it's interesting because, as I said, my boyfriend is from Sicily, so he's actually teaching me a completely different dialect.
Is
that
it really
I
that
had
different?
No idea. It is.
All
It
right,
is.
so then let's
It is
do
very
this.
different.
Say hello, how are you in Roman dialect.
Au, come te butta?
Come de butta?
Sì.
Really? You know what my mother would have said? Come ti chiami?
Come ti chiami?
Is
What's
that
your
right?
name?
Oh, that's what your name is? Oh
Come
no,
ti
that's
chiami?
not it. Then she would say Kerich. Is that
Che
hello?
dici? Che dici?
How you doing?
That's like, what's up?
What's up, Kerich?
Exact. Che dici? That's funny.
Come ti chiami?
That's good, yeah. Come stai is standard Italian. How are you? Come
Oh,
stai?
come stai. All right, I'm
Come
wrong.
stai?
So how do you say it in Sicilian?
Sicilian dialect. I don't
Sicilian
know.
dialect. You don't know?
I don't know. So.
Let's go to Sal.
Hey, Sal.
Sal, say hello, how are you?
Ciao, come state?
No, dai, è siciliano.
Come state?
Come sciada.
state?
Come sciada.
Che facete?
Yeah, now he's angry. I don't know what he said.
I don't know either.
He's smiling, but I think he said, I'm going to kill you.
San Vito lo capo.
Well, let's do another one. Wait.
Sì, sì.
Oh, how about this one? I had enough.
Basta.
Oh, shit, that was easy. Basta.
Basta.
All right, Sal, how do you say basta? Same.
A posto.
A bosta?
A posto.
A boast.
A posto.
You shake your hands, you move.
A
A posto.
posto. A posto.
Here in the United States, a boost is how much money you put in the wedding
A busta,
bag.
sì, esattamente. It's true. Do not show up empty-handed. You need a busta.
Okay, it was nice to see you.
È stato un piacere.
È stato un piacere.
È stato un piacere. It was nice to see you. It was a pleasure.
Sal?
È stato bellissimo.
Yeah. I don't know, his accent's pretty cool. È stato bellissimo.
Un piacere stare con te.
Ecco.
Keeps on going to
Un
Bashady.
piacere stare con te.
It's going to take me hours. No, it's going to take me years to speak Italian.
It's easy. I'll teach you. Don't worry.
I used to know this when I was running around in Rome. Ragazza, dove andiamo?
Ecco, bravo. That's good.
Translate that.
Hey, girl, where we going?
Yeah, where we going? I remember when we were in Rome, guys were dancing with guys. Now that doesn't really happen here. Well, maybe now it does. But then it wasn't the thing to do. And I remember all these production assistants were just dancing with each other. I'm like, hey man, they're having fun. I'm dancing with them.
Right, exactly.
Well, we have some food on the table.
Yeah.
And we're going to now find out the correct pronunciation of some foods.
Vediamo.
First, we'll start off with the typical fight that everybody has in the United States when they say, is it sauce or gravy? Now, in my mind, my mom always said gravy, meaning she put braciole in the sauce, she put meatballs, anything with meat, making it thick, making it pulpy, and she said gravy. However, if there was a day she didn't feel like cooking a whole big meal, she made what she said marina. Marina, that's the way she would say it. Marina.
Marina.
It's a marina, which is marinara. Sal's laughing. You should see this guy. He probably wants to kill me. He's saying, these idiots in the United States, I gotta kill them.
He's doing the hand gesture.
Yeah.
He's like, che cavolo.
Yeah, che cosa dice? I don't even know what that means.
Non lo so.
Bada-bop, bada-bop, bada-beep-beep.
Bada bing, bada boop.
Bada-boop-beep, Okay, so how do you say? I mean, why is that?
Okay.
Why did that happen?
So the word for sauce in Italian is salsa or sugo. The reason why it's called gravy here is because, as I was talking about before, Italians wanted to assimilate into American culture. So instead of saying sauce, the word, the word that we use now, sauce, they didn't want to because it sounded too much like salsa, which sounded too Italian. So they actually...
I thought salsa was Spanish.
It's also Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Salsa or sugo. It's like interchangeable. So they used the word gravy because it sounded more American. And so that was like kind of their way of making the Italian word American. But the funny thing is that gravy is, from what I understand now, it's what you guys call sauce with the meat.
Yeah.
In it. However, the sauce with the meat in Italian is actually ragu, is what it's called.
Ragu in the United States is a dirty word.
Not the jarred sauce.
We don't say ragu, but now I think I know why they call the jarred sauce ragu. That makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, isn't that something?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow. Okay, so
That's interesting.
and we get the so from now on, stop calling it sauce and stop calling it gravy. Call it zuga. It's a zuga.
Exactly.
I don't know if I could do that.
I
What
don't care though. I mean, for me, you can call it whatever you want. Salsa, sugo, gravy, ragua. It doesn't matter. As long as it's good, it's great.
My father always used to say, I don't care what you call it, just don't call me late for dinner.
There you go. Exactly.
All right,
Good
well,
motto.
we have some beautiful foods on this table, and we're going to take in questions for Trisha while we do this segment. I think this would be a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call these foods in real Italian as opposed to what the Italians in the United States say is Italian?
Mm-hmm.
So, is it or is it not pizza? Is this Italian from Italy or is this American?
Pizza is the word all around the world. Pizza. So it's Italian, it's American, it's the same.
Did the Americans come up with pizza or was this come from Italy for real?
For real, Italian. From Italy. Pizza.
It did.
From Naples, actually. Pizza margherita. So this is actually plain pizza, which is what in Italy we would call margherita, because the first pizza was actually made for Queen Margherita in Naples.
See that? See what you learned today?
There you go.
There's a ship called Michelangelo, and every once in a while there was a woman on there who had a margarita pizza in her name because she was Queen Margarita.
Esattamente.
Like, what was that?
Exactly.
No, say it in Italian.
Esattamente.
Exactamento. Pimento.
Bravissimo.
That is
Really makes so
hilarious. When I was in Italy, they don't order pizza by the slice.
No.
Here in New Jersey, we say, give me a slice. Sometimes we say something stupid, like put pineapples on my slice, and you get stabbed in the back, and you wonder how it happened. And you should see Sal, he's crying. This kid's, her boyfriend's name is Sal. He's over there. He's from Sicily. Right now, he's had enough. He just said, I'm leaving.
He's like, I'm done. I can't.
I've had enough. So this is a slice of pizza. But in Italy, you order it by the weight.
Yes. Well, by the weight, yes. If you want like a slice, it would be by the weight. You would just tell them, okay, I want this much pizza. If you go to Pizza al Taglio, there's specific places where you can get pizza by the slice or by the weight. But mostly you're just going to order your own personal pizza and you're going to eat all of that by yourself.
Yes. I remember getting my own personal pizza in Italy, and it was more sauce than cheese. I kind of had to ask for cheese.
A little bit more cheese, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't really put the cheese on.
Yeah.
Then they look at you and go, American.
Exactly.
American.
That's funny.
How,
Well,
how many pounds of pizza do you want? I want a slice. Now you got to order by the pound. Give me 2 pounds. Pizza.
Exactly. There's a pizza in Italy called Pizza Americana. They actually put hot dogs and French fries on it, and it's the best.
Oh, really?
It's so good.
Well, I don't even know if in the United States, especially Jersey, you put a hot dog on a pizza, somebody's going to punch you in the face.
It's like
I'll hit you.
It's kind of like the pineapple in
You
Italy,
separate
right?
that shit. Those are two delicate foods.
It's a hot dog.
Okay, so I have a slice of regular pizza, which is plain. And then there's another slice with meatballs on it. We have two other kinds of slice of pizza. This is, what would you say?
Pizza siciliana.
Oh, this is pizza Siciliano.
Siciliano.
See how much nicer it is when she says it? Because I'd say, give me a Sicilian.
Yeah.
But she said pizza Siciliano.
Siciliano.
And you should see Sal. He's so happy right now.
I'm so proud.
Yes. He's like, yeah, but that's American pizza.
So
All right.
It's thicker, so that's how you know. Pizza siciliano.
I would bite it, but we can't because we're on TV. All right, now we got another plate of
There we
food.
go.
This slice,
Mm-hmm.
what would you call that?
Una pizza focaccia, non lo so. It's a little bit thinner. It's like thick, crispier crust.
Yes. They call this grandma pizza here, but I like the word focaccia. Looks like it's on focaccia bread, but it's not.
Esatto.
No.
Looks good. I was gonna say it looks like anchovies. If you get the anchovies, it's called pizza marinara, actually in Naples.
Pizza marinara?
Yeah, there's
in
no
Naples.
cheese. There's no actually you can't mix fish and cheese at all in Italy. It's like against the law. You can't do it. So the pizza marinara is gonna be the anchovies and just the sauce. That's it.
How do you say anchovy in Italian?
Alice.
Alice?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Alice.
You know what Alice is in the United States? A girl that won't leave you alone.
Alice.
She's a lychee. Get out of here.
Scusa.
She's a scusa. Scusa me. Scusa me.
It's
Back
almost
to your
scusa.
old Napoli. Let me tell you something. This is hilarious. First of all, nobody puts cheese and anchovies together. That's disgusting. And anchovies in general is disgusting.
Buono.
Yes, anchovies they put in
That's
Caesar
good.
salad. That's disgusting.
That's true.
I'm allergic to fish.
This is an Italian gesture for when something is really delicious.
Really?
Buono.
Could you imagine how you're out with a girl, you're on a date. Hey, honey, yeah. Oh, is this good? She's gonna think you're nuts.
Exactly. What are you doing? It's like Frankenstein.
Yep. Here is another food.
Diciamo calzone. Calzone.
This is a calzone. I'm not a fan of calzones. Calzones are fattening and filling, and then you got to dip it in your azuka. Did I say it right?
Sugo.
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 You dip this in your salad, having the worst time. This is the way you're supposed to have it. It's fat. It's got cheese in there. This will bloat you. This and a Coca-Cola, you might as well just stay in the house.
Yeah,
'Cause-
pretty much.
how do you say constipated in Italian? You don't know it?
I don't actually know.
Constipatio.
Stizzicato.
El constipadio. Ooh, see. How do you say it in Sicilian? Oh, I got a
Come
shit.
si dice?
Oh, come on. This is hilarious.
That's great. It's actually, you can call it panzerotto.
Panzerotto.
Esatto, panzerotti in Puglia. It's funny because there's actually, in Puglia, they're famous for their panzerotti, which are kind of like calzone. They're just filled pizza. And at like 3 a.m. after you go to the discoteca, you go and you get the panzerotto fresh from the oven. It's the best.
Nothing like going dancing after you eat a nice panzerona.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really shake my boot with guys. Guys dance with guys in Italy. That's why the guys dance with guys, because they're the ones who eat this panzanotta, and girls don't eat panzanotta because they don't want to be constipadio. That's another Italian word. See that, and that's from the region of Uzbekistan.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, would you hand me that bottle of wine?
Sì.
This bottle of wine is from a friend of ours. He's got great wine. He is in Florida, and he is from Naples, Italy. I'm trying to think of his name off the top of my head, but I can't. Anyway, Massimo Battista, and he makes this wine, and it says Capisci.
Capisci.
So in Italian, say that.
Capisci.
Capisce.
Capisci.
See, my mother would say Gabid.
Capito, ok, ho capito. Ho capito. Capito.
Or Gabish. Gabish.
Exactly.
Everything was with a
Makes
G. Gabish.
Yeah.
You Gabish, sí or no?
Mm-hmm.
So,
The C, actually, that's another thing from the Italian dialect into the Italian American. The C's, instead of having that cheap dura or like that hard C sound, they're going to change it into a G, and that's very Southern Italian when they do that. So instead of saying capisci, gabish,
Gabish.
hai capito.
Agavid. Yeah. Here's another wine. Well, that one says the English thing called forget about it. But he has this other wine that's called Juch, the real Juch wine. And we had a conversation on what Juch means. Now, my mother would say, what are you, some kind of a Juch? Oh, stop being such a Juch. So we thought it meant just a knucklehead or a silly boy.
Right.
He said it's a donkey.
Esattamente. Yep. A donkey.
So how do you say it?
Chucha.
Chucho means a donkey?
Yep.
My Aunt Mary told me she went to high school on a Jucho. She'd whack it.
Did she?
Take me to school. Well, they didn't even go to school.
Yeah, right. Oh,
They
God.
spent years in the United States fighting, speaking English. That's it. They were speaking Italian, and that was
That's
that.
it. That's what they're doing.
I went to a really cool place in Brooklyn yesterday for lunch, and the gentleman behind the counter was from Naples, and I forgot his name, but he had me make a sandwich with him, and this place was called Southside Pizza,
I love how
which
you
was
say
in
that.
Brooklyn. What?
Sandwich.
Sandwich?
Yeah.
Well, it's-
Sandwich. It's
that's
very
the,
Italian American.
It's Italian American.
It is.
That's the Jersey version of sandwich. Sandwich. I didn't even know I sounded anything different. I thought it was normal.
No, that's funny.
Well, we made this sandwich,
Oh, wow.
which technically I don't really like this type of sandwich. But they made the dough from scratch,
That looks delicious.
and then he said he made this a sandwich. Now, obviously, let me see if I can pick it up and show everybody. Ooh, it smells really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot what he called it. Do you know?
No so, che cosa? Looks like prosciutto. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, but he called the sandwich something.
Oh, I don't
So we made the bread from scratch, and then he cooked it. But in here is what I would say, prosciutto. She laughed.
Sorry.
Wait a minute. Prosciutto, mozzarella,
Okay.
mozzarella, and I forgot the lettuce. What's this lettuce? Help me, anybody.
Arugula.
Arugula. I would say arugula,
Exactly.
and then there's mushrooms in there.
Okay, nice.
So how would you say arugula?
Rucola is
Rucola.
Rucola would be the Italian, but arugula.
Rucola.
Arugula.
Sounds a lot like bacala. What's bacala?
Bacala.
What is it?
Fish. Codfish.
Fish. And he said it right? Bacala?
Bacala.
Bacala.
Yep.
You know what bacala was in my family? A spanking. Your mother is so mad she's going to give you bacala. And I think she said that because bacala was disgusting. Nobody eats bacala.
I love bacala.
That's disgusting. It's the ugliest fish you'll ever see in your entire life. And
Fried
then
bacala. is the
fried
best.
bacala. Ugh,
Wow.
ugh. Mozzarella? How do you say?
Mozzarella.
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 Sounds like a song.
Mozzarella.
She makes food sound so much better.
Right.
All right, and then
And then
the meat.
Oh, prosciutto.
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 We said prosciutto
Prosciutto.
with a B. Prosciutto.
Same thing, Italian dialect. They changed the P to the B sound. Makes it softer. Prosciutto. E funghi.
Fun with food. Now in my freezer, and I forgot to get them out, but I think they're over here in this box. No, I'll mention it. Thanks, Joe. My friend Joe from Buenos Aires, which is a beautiful Italian restaurant in northern New Jersey. We're gonna go ahead and have some food this week. He brought over some Maron. How do you say Maron?
Oh, Madonna.
Oh, Maron.
Madonna.
That means my God or Mother Mary?
Mother Mary.
Mother Mary.
Madonna.
Maron. There's some pastries in this box. I'm going to show everybody what these pastries. Holy shit.
Che profumo.
Look at this.
That's good.
She said April Fools. What did you say? The Fuma?
Che profumo.
Oh, the
That's good,
perfuma.
yeah, it's
The
good.
smell
The smell.
of these treats.
Mamma mia,
See, I speak
le
Italian.
zeppole.
You could say it louder than that because, you know, your language is so beautiful. Makes me sound like a dummy from the street.
No.
I don't know what these are. Do you?
See, they're called zeppole. And they're famous for St. Joseph's Day, which is on March 19th.
Oh, is that right?
It
These
is.
are Zapolis?
Zeppole.
Zapoli. See, my mother would say, a zape,
A zepp.
a zape. Mom, I'm going to go get some Zapolis. Make sure you get me 12 zape.
A zip.
But in the
Yeah.
freezer, Joe also brought us what we would say, sfogliatella.
Oh, my favorite.
I can't really say it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say it?
Sfogliatella. Which would be
Sfogliatella.
the Napoletan. Sfogliate.
It's Napolitan?
Sfogliatella. Sfogliatella. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We got a bunch more. I forgot to answer these people questions. With garlic and oil. St. Joseph's and Zapolis. Yep, my favorite. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's Father's Day on Saturday in Italy. So March
This
19th.
Saturday?
Yep. Every March 19th, St. Joseph's.
This is a cheesecake, but this this is a cheesecake. But this cheesecake is tiramisu.
Ah, more.
So how do you say?
Tiramisu.
Tiramisu.
Tiramisu. You know why? I'll tell you why. Tiramisu actually means pick me up. So tiramisu is made with espresso coffee, right? So it's kind of like a pick me up. So tiramisu.
Who knew that? I didn't know that. Tiramisu means pick me up?
Yep.
Wow.
Tiramisu. Exactly.
So if a girl comes over my house and she says, Michael, tiramisu, I just pick her up.
Pick her up.
Oh man, this is going to be great. I got tiramisu. The word we say, my mother would say ganul.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cannolo.
cannolo?
Cannolo.
The Americans say cannoli.
Mm-hmm. Cannoli. Yeah, well, cannoli is plural for cannolo. Cannolo is just one. And you have to double your N's. Americans have a lot of trouble, even I do sometimes, with the double letters in the Italian words. So cannolo, you have to actually hear the N, not cannolo, cannolo.
Cannolo means one.
Yep.
Cannoli means a few.
Yeah, plural, exactly.
I can't wait to have like a family dinner and have somebody say, pass me the cannoli. I'm like, no, excuse me. No, it's a cannolo. You only want one. Don't get it wrong anymore.
Exactly, there you go.
I go to speech classes with Trisha. Trisha's Italy.
I'll teach you the right way.
All right. We did spogliatelle pastry. Pastry.
Pasticceria, cioè sarebbe la bakery.
Holy shit. Rewind. One word turned into a sentence. Did you hear it?
Un dolce.
Un dolce.
Dolce.
What does
you
that
just
mean?
say pastry.
Pastry? Un dolce. So when I go back to Brooklyn and I go into the pastry shop, I'm going to say, hey, indolce. Give me a cannolo.
Un dolce.
And
Come
don't screw it up.
La dolce vita.
La Dolce Vita. That's a movie.
Exactly. The
What,
sweet
what's
life.
that? What's La Dolce Vita? Oh, is that? That means the sweet life? La Dolce Vita. Oh, wow. We all live in the sweet life. So we covered it. It's 20 regions.
20 regions.
And then thousands of languages within the 20.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you said it happened when it became a country.
1861.
What was Italy before it all became a country?
It was kind of just all different kingdoms. The Kingdom of Naples, Kingdom of Sicily, the two, what was it called? The
History is
kingdoms
so
of Sicily.
baffling.
Yeah.
I
And
wish
it was
I had
just
a
bunch
kingdom.
of-
The Kingdom of Marino.
There you go, yeah. Should.
You can come in, but you got to bring a cannolo.
Just
One cannolo. All right, let's take some questions. All right, guys.
Let's do it.
If anybody has a question for Trisha's Italy, now would be a good time to ask, because once we get off camera, we are going to feast. How do you say feast?
Abbuffiamo.
Abbuffiamo.
Everything.
Huh?
Mangiamo tutto.
Yeah, we're going to mangiama tupo. Mangiana tupo.
Mangia. You know that, right?
I know mangia, yeah.
Mangia is out.
Mange.
Mangia.
What did my mother used to say? State zitto quando io parlo.
Ecco, bravo.
Shut up when I'm talking?
Sì.
Does that make sense?
Esatto.
Io mangia troppo assai. No, I know kids eat twice as much as you. Does that make sense?
It was good, yeah. I ate too
I
much.
remember some of this
That was good, actually.
stuff.
It's good because the way that you say it as well is in the dialect, which is interesting. See, that's how it came passed down.
Look at this person. Take the gun, leave the cannolis.
Exactly.
That's not a question.
But
All
yeah,
right. My
leave the
Italian
cannoli.
teacher nicknamed me, have you ever been to Calabria?
Calabria, no. I actually have never been to Calabria. I would like to go to Calabria. I've been a lot of different places, but Calabria is one that I have never been to.
Is Alavino and Napoli the same dialect?
It's similar. It's very similar. It's like Napolitan dialect. But they have different words for different things.
I never even heard of Avellino. What's Avellino?
It's a pretty big city. It's actually south of Naples, probably about 30 minutes south of Naples. And it's its own province, so there's different cities. It's actually called Irpinia, which is what the zone is called there. It's really nice.
My family lives there. I'd love to visit. Avellino? Maria? That question's coming from Maria Chirico Antonarella. Can you read that?
I can't see.
LA Fitness. This ain't the show for you. My Italian teacher nicknamed me Menefregista.
Menefregista.
What is that?
It's like I don't care about anything. Menefregista.
Favorite place you've been in Italy?
What was your favorite place?
Well, I only been to those 3 places.
Okay. My favorite place, I have a couple. I have, my number one is Rome, because I lived there for almost 10 years. And honestly, even living there for 10 years, you don't even see all of it. I mean, you could see all the touristy places, but there's always an angle of Rome that you can always discover. It's incredible. I mean, it's beautiful. But I also love, like I was saying, the region of Campania, the province of Avellino, Irpinia. My dad is from Montella, and it's one of my favorite places.
Right now we're getting a thing from the Fortunato brothers in New York City, and that's where I was yesterday. Hey, Fortunato brothers. And
Buonasera.
you pronounced my name perfectly, Mike. Oh, well.
There you go. See?
I had a little help. Would you ever move back to Italy?
I dream about moving back to Italy every day. But
This time she's got to go to Sicily.
yeah, exactly.
Because
No.
Sal's going to say, if you don't come to Sicily, I'm going to give you the bacala.
It's not the bacala.
Nobody likes bacala.
No, I like being in the U.S. I like visiting Italy. But my family's here now, so it's nice.
We went yesterday to Brooklyn, New York, and we were at this place called Fortunato Brothers Pastry Shop, and it is the best. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for letting us make some films. Thank you for introducing me to your father, your grandfather, your brothers, your sisters, everybody. And the food was dynamite. And the next time we come to Brooklyn, we're going to come with Trisha, and she's going to speak Italian to you guys,
Absolutely.
and I'll wait outside.
No, you'll just say what you learned tonight.
Here comes another question. This question's coming from Deborah, 1282. Ever heard Monteforte Cliento? Family comes from there.
Monteforte Cliente. I've heard of it. I don't know, where is that located? Is that in Calabria? Non lo so.
I don't know.
Monteforte Cliente.
Somebody's always got to throw a trick question.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
I remember when I was in Rome, we got to see the Spanish Steps, all the fountains,
Yep.
the cathedrals,
Mm-hmm.
and we were taken around by a tour guide who, of course, was bilingual. And there were models in the commercials that we were shooting, and their English was pretty good, and they took us everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was just one of the greatest times of my life. And all I kept thinking was, I wonder when I'll be back. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I
Right.
haven't been there since.
Oh, did you?
It's Salerno area. Oh,
Oh,
in
Salerno.
Salerno.
Salerno. Okay, yeah. I've never
Oh,
heard
check
of
this
it.
out. Here comes a good one. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
That's okay.
these go by really quickly.
Yeah.
Say in Italian, live from my mother's basement.
Come si dice basamento? Non lo so. Basement. Cioè non esiste in Italia, questo è la cantina. Sono live dalla cantina di mia madre. Sono in diretta.
That is so badass. I'll never get to repeat that.
It's funny because I say basement like the way that my nonni would say it, which would be basamento. Perché in Italia you don't really have like a basement. It's not really a thing. You'd say like cantina or something like that. But they would say basamento.
This is the basamento.
Exactly.
What happened to Anthony? He got whacked in the basamento.
Basamento.
Have you ever heard of Reggio Calabria?
Certo, Reggio Calabria. Exactly, in Calabria.
Did I say what was the? I thought it was somebody's name. It's a friend of
Place.
yours.
A friend of mine. It's a place.
Say hello, Marco Asante.
Oh, ciao, Marco. Come?
Asante.
Asante.
He's
Ciao,
saying,
Marco Asante.
This is Marco Asante. He's in my web series Make America Italian Again. He's the co-star. And he's saying the best Italian restaurant in Northern California is Olive Garden.
Oh, dear. Oh, God.
How do you tell Marco to go fuck himself in Italian? She's too young to get it with
Va
wooden
Napoli.
spoon.
Va fa Napoli.
Fanabola. Fanabola. Anthony Rena's question, is Avellino and Abruzzo part of Napoli?
Avellino and Abruzzo are not part of Napoli. Abruzzo is its own region up near Lazio, which is the region that Rome is in. And then Avellino is in the region of Campania, which is in the same region as Naples. Naples is a city in the region of Campania.
Wow. That is fantastic. Tell everybody out there how they can find you on all social media and maybe take an Italian lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I am on all social media at Trisha's Italy. And I have a website, trishasitaly.com. So.
You got to go on her Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. It's really fascinating when she actually depicts the difference between speaking English to Italian and then the way the Italian words are truthfully said. That's what hooked me. That's what made me think, you know what, you got to come down the basement and be on the show because I want to know. It makes you want to know. You'll ask all kinds of questions. So make sure you go to Trisha's Italy on Instagram.
Grazie.
What is your favorite Italian food?
La matriciana.
She said pizza in Italian.
That's what I said.
She like macanaka is chips and salsa.
Exactly. There you go. Matriciana.
I so wish I could speak Italian, man. What is that?
Matriciana is a Roman pasta dish. It's like carbonara except without eggs. It's with sauce and guanciale, which is a type of pancetta or bacon.
You know what? I have a great question. Why is it all the people I saw in Italy, or all the people who come over from Italy now, like Sal, are slim
They're so
and
skinny,
trim,
right? I know.
skinny, and they eat pasta?
Because we have certain times of the day where we eat. We don't snack because we have full meals. And then we walk everywhere in Italy. I mean, I never had a car in 10 years. I didn't need it. And I just walked everywhere. Because everywhere you go, there's just something right on the corner. It's not like here in America. You know, you need a car to get to the
That's
grocery
why they're
store.
so thin.
Yeah, it's that simple, I swear. And there's a lot of fresh vegetables, and it's very, very cheap to get veggies and fruit over there. So.
I never even said pasta till I moved to California. I always said macaroni. My mother said macaroni.
Yeah, macaron.
Wake your father, we're having macaroni. Or spaghetti.
It's so
Spaghetti
fascinating.
aglio.
Ah, bravo, sì, aglio olio.
Spaghetti and oil. What a mess.
It's good. Pepperoncino. Hot pepper.
What's Trisha's Instagram site again?
Trisha's Italy. Trisha's Italy. Everything
Trisha's Italy.
together. Trisha, Trisha, SITALY.
Look at all those hearts and cards and letters coming. All right, let's see if we just got one or two more here on Facebook.
Sounds good.
Another great show. Well, thank you. Trisha is beautiful and was very sweet. Knowledge
you.
guest, her boyfriend Sal has a great voice.
Grazie.
He's a singer.
Great one. Condom. Bye.
We're gonna have him on next week's show. He's a tenor from Sicily. Volcano and Lipari were my favorite little islands of Sicily.
Lipari, yeah, absolutely.
that
I've
what I
never
said?
been there. Yep, that's good.
All right, so we have Trisha's Instagram. What's your website?
Trisha'sItaly.com.
Trisha'sItaly.com. We thank her so much for coming down to the
Thank you.
basement and teaching us a couple of Italian things. How about a nice big shout out to our producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, for making sure that every episode is a great episode, getting in touch with the guests and making sure they know exactly how to get to the house, hang out, and have some fun. We have a lot of food in the basement right now, so when we say goodnight, we're going to chow. Or what are we going to do? We're going to chow. No.
We're gonna mangia.
Manja. And we're going to keep on laughing and joking. Don't forget, you can watch us all the time right here live on Facebook, Instagram. Check us out on iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor, Italian American Radio in New York City. In fact, we should get you on his show.
Absolutely.
The guy's name is Johnny Mandolin. He's in New York City. And in September, he's going to be all over the radio because he's the host and the face of the Feast of San Gennaro in New York. So maybe you'd like to be part of that. I don't know if you go down there and you see all those
Absolutely.
people. I like to go down there myself and wear a shirt that says "Make America Italian Again." So why don't we end by saying, "Let's make America Italian again."
There we go.
Remember, you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my broadcasts? By always saying the same thing. Tonight we're going to say it in 2 different languages. First we'll say it in English, then I'm going to try it in Italian. I say, don't take no shit from nobody.
Oh, God.
So you got to say that. Ready?
All right, ready?
Don't take no shit from nobody. Now, how do you say it in Italian?
Non lo so.
Huh?
How would we say that in Italian? Come si dice? It wouldn't be translated in the directly. in the
Well,
correct
something else.
translation. Non prendere niente da nessuno. Non prendere la merda da nessuno.
Wait a minute, I got to get that.
Volevo dire però. Non devi prendere la merda da nessuno.
Well, there's a couple of people right now saying they want to take Italian lessons, so I want them to say that. In Italian, I want to just say what she said. You don't take no shit from nobody.
Don't do it.
Basta. You bastard.
Exactly.
Say it again. So beautiful.
Non prendere la merda da nessuno.
No prende de la man de la mana mana mana. Mama mana mana. Hamana mana.
That's perfect. I like your accent. It's good.
All right, we got to go. I'm Mike Marino. We'll
Thank
see you guys
you.
in the morning walk, and keep on tuning in, and make sure you go to her website and see what's going on in her career, in her life, and you too can learn how to say "get the hell away from me" in Italian. Ciao.
Lasciami stare. Grazie.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.